Okay, as we get ready to start our new Tole TV project, we're going to use our new product that we have. And it is a book of words and phrases for Halloween. It's very cool. We're going to present it as a book that is, we're going to actually ship it out just hole punched with a laminated divider so that it's, a divider. So anyway, and inside there are 24 pages of Halloween expressions and words. The reason we're not going to put it into any kind of binding or anything is because, and I'll show you why, but the idea is that you get one of these binders and you presto pop it in there, put in your divider, and our stencils also fit on there, the hole punched as well. So in your Halloween words and phrases, you can have all your Halloween words and phrases, and then you can put your stencils behind. It will come with a CD, which also has a hole punched holder thing in it. So you'll get the CD with the holder thing, with the pages, with the laminated sheet, and then you build your own notebook. And you can add as many stencils as you want or not. We are going to have a book of words and phrases that are inspirational. We're going to have some that are for Christmas. We're going to have them for all the seasons, as well as we're going to have a book of clock faces coming up next. So we have a lot of things coming up. Anyway, so the reason we need them unbound is we are going to use, like for this project, I learned this as I was getting ready to do this. We're going to use which parking only, all others will be towed. Okay? Well, if I lay this, I needed to go up a couple 100% on my copier. If I laid this on my copy machine, then I had to bend the book, and that wasn't very appropriate. So I would fold this over, lay it on, and then do it that way. Now what we've done on the CD, which is what makes it such a great deal, is we have put the entire book on the CD. They come together as a set. You cannot get them separately. But we put the book itself on the CD just in case you mess up a page and you need to replace it or reprint it. And we've also separated out all of the images. So this will be on only one. So those of you who are comfortable with a copy machine and you want to just take this and go get it a different size, can take your page out and go print it. Those of you who are familiar with computers and how to resize things in a computer, all of these will be saved as images that you can just drag and resize to the size you want. So you're going to get both, and you can replace it as you bend it up and mar it up and stuff like that. And then, of course, we wanted you to be able to add the clock faces and the covers and have dividers. So we made the cover into the divider by just, it's a little bit larger. Whoops. A little bit larger because it's laminated. And then as you add chapters, you could maybe tab it and put some labels and stuff like that on it. But you can build your own book of words and phrases. You can enlarge these and use them on walls, although I don't think I would have Broom Will Travel on my wall in my house. Anyway, so this is our brand new product, and it is available as of, I think, the launching of this Tole TV. So, of course, we always film in advance, so I'm never quite sure where these things come out. So, what we're going to do is we are going to resize this. Let's put this stuff away. We're going to resize this, and we're going to get out our resizing tool. And I have reorganized my wonderful tote, and it has the drawer, and it has the little drawer, where is it, little bungee cord that keeps your drawer shut. It has the removable Lazy Susan, so that you can have it be stationary or you can have it be turning. Okay, and I have loaded mine up with all my painting stuff, and I've got to tell you, it's nice to have it all on board, and it's stylish. Jessica has got hers, and she's loaded her laptop fits inside there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to measure our words here. So our words measure, so we want to go width. The banner that I'm going to paint is going to be 10.5 inches wide, but we're going to make this a little bit less. So we're going to make it about 8 inches. So we're going to go 2.5 inches, and this is our resizing dial. So we know this is the size of the original that we're going to do. So I'm going to find my 2.5 and glasses. I've got my Lazy Susan installed, and I put my glasses off to the side. Okay, 2.5 inches. Okay, so 2.5, okay. And then we want to go, this is the size you want it to be. So I want it to be 8 inches. So I line up the 8 inches, okay? And then it tells me how big I need to resize. So in this case, it's 325%. Okay, so whatever you put, you line that up with what you want it to be. So I'm a 2.5 inch, I want to be an 8 inch. That gives you the number of percentage of size, and it is super simple. And it's a little bit weird because you're spinning both dials at once, and I've gone cross-eyed a few times trying to use it. It's not hard. It's just remembering the inside is the original, the outside is the size you want it to be. You can go increase in size or reduce in size, either or, okay? And it's we got the biggest size we can because there's an awful lot of fine print, so we got the 6-inch size for you. Anyway, so I will go and then I will enlarge this on my copy machine. I'm more comfortable with a copy machine. And then it will be the right size. Okay, now that we've figured out how to resize things, I've got my words about the size that I want. Now, would you know, you might not need to, you're getting a pattern or whatever, you might not need to have to remeasure, but how many times in your life have you wanted to resize something? To have a tool that makes it that simple is just fantastic. So, worth its weight in gold and ink and time. It's just a really good tool. Okay, so now I've got my banner here. I've got my words printed out. And we're going to do, I don't know if I already said this, we're going to do a little bit different thing this week, this time with Tole TV. We are going to do patterns at the end and just kind of play with some variables and see where we go with that. I got my Rocklon that's pre-cut to the banner size on the website. It's a generous banner size, so you can do any of, you know, the patterns that we have will fit onto this. I'm suspecting that I'm not going to need this whole thing, and I'm hoping that I can just cut it in half. So, go here, go there. You've got to allow for a little bit of overlap right there. And I think that that's more than sufficient. So I'm going to kind of messily just cut it in half. Messily? Actually, maybe I won't messily do it. Let us take a look here and make sure that our end is square. See how square we are. Here. Okay, I've got my T-square. I'm not thinking it's very square, so we're going to have to do some squaring up. So messily it is. It's time to resharpen the scissors. Rocklon is drapery lining fabric, and it is not a canvas. It is a polyester something, yada, yada, yada. And now look at, I have, sorry to interrupt myself, enough to do 2 banners out of one $3, $5, whatever section of banner fabric. And you can do so much with these. You can hang them on skirt hangers for storage and just hang them in your coat closet so that you can just change them as many times as you want. Okay, now I'm going to want 10 inches for my banner. Oops. I think it's 10.5 inches. Don't want to undercut. Okay, yeah, 10.5 inches. So, very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to assume one of these edges is a straight edge. And I'm thinking it's got to be this one right here. Okay, so I'm going to get this kind of squared up. Time for glasses and a pencil. We can use our new... we've got the new colors. The colors are on the sides of the pencils. These were designed for fabric. There's yellow, pink, green. There's gray, and there's white, which obviously we can't use on this. And what's cool about these is they have, they're a clickable lead. They're different size than your normal click lead, so you have to have the, let's get you a little closer. You have to actually have the pencil holder to use them. Okay, and what's neat about this, because it was designed for fabric, it'll actually remove with water, and so you can just kind of sponge it off. So this is actually much more desirable than using pencil. Okay, so we want to get squared up, so we use our T-square. Go on there. Okay, and we will make our line. Because they're click leads, you can make them as long as you want, which is fantastic. It might be time for some light here. I'm trying to go light, and then I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so we've got that. I'll go just a little bit darker. You ever notice when I do the fabric projects, I get all discombobulated. I actually know how to sew, but you sure couldn't tell it by how I act on camera here, huh? Okay, now from there, what we're going to do is get our measurement of 10.5 inches. Okay, so we'll go here, and now we'll measure from our top line. And let's turn it over. So I think it's more the logic skills that I'm suffering in than anything else. This is where my artist brain is taken over. Okay. Okay. Go ahead and finish it all the way down. I think I'll go this direction though. Okay, and then down here we'll want to make sure we're square as well. I don't know what I'm going to do at the end yet, so I'm just going to give myself all the room in the world. This one is actually pretty nice and square. Okay, and now I will cut with my very non-sharp scissors. The Rocklon won't fray, and it doesn't, it's ironable. You don't need to hem it. You can hem it if you'd like. You're going to make sure you use sharp scissors. It just makes a nicer line. When you get the paint on it, you won't get any curling or things like that. I can press these little marks right here out. That's not a problem at all. So just trim it up. I'm going to go give it a press and we'll get started. Okay, so now I have a long skinny piece that will thread in, and what I'll do is I'll put a little pocket hem into this. And when I iron this, I can iron it on whatever temperature I want to iron it on. Okay, when we get ready to hem it, we're just going to hem just a little hem in it, and then we'll put if I had a pencil, I'd show you. We'll put like a dowel here, and then that dowel will catch back on the back side of it, and it will hold it all up. It's kind of a tricky little neat thing. All right, so meantime, I have to go iron. I've taken this up as high as the linen setting on my iron, and it scorched or smoked, but it didn't scorch. So it seems pretty impervious. It seems pretty impervious to almost everything. So I don't think you can really screw it up too bad. Okay, I have started my project. I started it and didn't think about the topper and think about what color I was going to do this, and I wanted to put a frog, and I painted the thing green, so I have to kind of restart. So we're going to change what we've done. Take out from our little cute tote. This thing is the handiest thing. We're going to do a count of how many things we have stored in here, and I cannot wait. Okay. To keep your roller fresh, you can use some press and seal. Now, I probably won't base anything green for a day or so, so I'll go wash this roller out. Okay, and we're going to use Ultra Blue Deep, which is one of those colors that you probably don't have sitting on your shelves, but it is a fantastic, magical color. Real bright. I've used up. I've painted a couple of things this color. So you might want to order yours while you're getting your stuff. Okay, so get our Ultra Blue Deep going. This will be easier to base coat because I'm going over green. I'm going to be careful of spitting. Ultramarine is one of those colors that ends up everywhere. Roll away from you so to prevent some of that spitting. I've got my table protected with a piece of just extra paper. A grocery bag would work. Even split open like a garbage sack or something like that for a temporary protector. Get it all nice and rolled. We use a roller on surfaces like this because if I was to use a paintbrush, then it gloms on the paint. Like on a smooth, hard surface, you can get the paint to just go where you put it because you have resistance. On a canvas surface, you have to use either a roller or a really stiff bristle brush. And rollers are fast. Fast, fast, fast. Love fast prep. I like to get to the meat of the painting, and I don't like to spend all my time in the prep stage. So I like to do everything that's the quickest way possible. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry. When that's dry, we'll do our fun background finish. Oh, and go ahead and move this away. I wonder how many things will end up with blue on them. Okay, go ahead and do your topper as well. To seal the topper, what you can do is use, as I go around in circles over here, use your paint adhesion medium mixed in with your paint, and then you'll have it prepped and primed all in the same time. Okay, and I'll show you a quick little neat finish for the edges. When you're doing edges, you don't want to push very hard with your roller, so press softer, and then you won't end up with it squishing into the over the edge and stuff. Okay, so I'll get that. If you want an ultra smooth finish, I don't know if I can make this do this because I probably have so much paint on here from doing the canvas, but if you want an ultra smooth finish when you're doing this, you just roll until your roller sings. And because I have so much paint, I would have to probably stand here and roll forever. But when you're rolling and you know you want smooth, don't load so much paint, use some pressure, and then roll, and you'll hear the roller will start going kind of, and that is when you know that you've got the smoothness coming. Okay, to get the edges done, realize now this comes with a really nice, because it's the laser cut, it comes with a blackish edge. We could leave that, or I can gently, gently, gently just give it one coat of my blue. And you want to peek over your edges just to make sure that you didn't get it all messy on there. It's real easy, there's no pressure involved. The nice thing about rollers when you're doing stuff like this is you can tap it straight on into these little crevices, and it's not so much work. Rollers do a great job of edging. Okay, we're good. Just let her dry. Okay, because I already had green on my background, let's talk about this. I have almost got the purple on there versus a blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this one more coat and give this one more coat, and then it should kind of equalize. So whenever you have circumstances, the background color can really make a difference in your top color. And since these two are going to be hanging together, I think I want them to be the same. Okay, so I've got everybody dry. Now I'm going to put the other coat on. We want to put on our palette. This is one of my favorite techniques to do. We're going to put a little bit of white. Okay, we'll go into our color, and we've got to re-wet everything one more time. This gets heavier as you get more coats. You want to be careful not to let it get too heavy. And I haven't done the back of mine yet. Just one focus at a time, I guess. So get everything wet, do one piece at a time, because if you do them both at the same time, then you will end up with it too dry to work. You're going to have a wet. This is a wet and wet technique. Okay, so get that nice and smooth on there. Everybody's wet equally. Okay, and now if you screw this up, you can go back and you can base it blue and you can do it again. So this is very forgivable. So I'm going to take my tiny roller. If I had a giant roller, this would not work as well. So I'm going to take my tiny roller and I'm going to work it in to the, I'm going to front load the toe. Okay, and then what I want to do is we're going to have these words dominating right here and have something hiding down here. So in through, I'm going to kind of bring the line of stuff. So this is my blown up thing, and that'll be kind of, so I think, and then we're going to have, let's see, I'm trying to give you a little bit of insight of how I figure this crap out myself. Okay, so we've got our top. Let's go back just a little bit. Okay, got our topper. So I'll have my moon and I'll have my witch flying through, and then probably start with some sort of sparkle here, come down here, and then enter in down here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a little wiggly wiggly, jiggly jiggly kind of thing. And we're probably going to want to end down here. So now that I've said that, let's go backwards. And we'll have to swing wide and bring that through. There we go. Now what I want to do is blend that out, and I want to bring this in an Xy slip slap kind of way, keeping the dark side towards my dark side. So I turned my toe around. Okay, this is just the funnest kind of technique to do. Okay, now we've made a whole new color. Now you want it bright, but you don't want it so obnoxiously bright that it's going to kill you. I can go back into my blue if I need to erase some of this and make it a lovely meandering S shape instead of something else. Okay, and maybe I'll lighten up over here just a little bit. Okay, so I've got this basically how I want to. If you squint at it, and you can see if I want to make anything softer or brighter, then I just go back in with either the brighter color or the darker color, and I make it so. Don't want anything sudden. We're going to increase this with some of our future steps. Now on this topper right here, I'm just going to drag everybody down just a little bit. Alright, so on the topper I'm going to reload, but I'm not going to load as much because now my brush is dirty. It's not a brush, it's a roller. But now my brush is, oh, and I didn't pre-wet. But we're on wood here, so I'm, instead of getting another roller dirty with the same color, I'll just go through and watch how much longer this takes. And we'll pre-wet. You've got to pre-wet. If you don't pre-wet, it's ugly. Yeah, absolutely amazing how much time savings you get from using a roller. I'm surprised we don't all have carpal tunnel just from base coating. Okay, so now because I'm on a hard surface, that's the reason I picked up the brush and didn't worry about using a roller. If I was on the canvas, I would not touch my canvas with a brush for base coating unless it was the Crescent stencil brushes, because they will push the paint into the canvas. And it is really, you wouldn't believe it, the difference. Once you try it, like you think it's not going to work, but once you try it, you see. Okay, get that all worked in. Gotta make sure it's wet. All right. I want this little bar here wet too, because I think I need to touch it with some color. Well, actually, it's going to be mostly hidden, isn't it? Okay, so I got my roller wet. Now coming in out of here, I'm going to bring that in and kind of bring that up and over and have there be a beginning of this thing over here. So now I got to keep that dark side, and this is going to be behind my moon, but we'll blend it anyway. And then this will enter over here. And we'll just blend that down. You can have a couple bright spots, and in that case maybe I'll just tap at it. Okay, and if we're pretending, then that will lead into that area, and that'll be nice. I'll go ahead and bring that down there even though we don't need it. Now I've got this side over here that's really, really dark. Maybe I want to just brighten this up just a little so it's not like a deep dark crevasse of a corner. Okay. Now I like how choppy that is. So I might come back over here and give myself just a couple of chops. Now I'm drying, so I'm going to have to be really careful. This is usually where I make a lovely lesson to show you because I screw something up. But yeah, that makes it just a little bit choppier, and I think I'm real happy with that. So that's our kind of a dreamy little background. It's slip slap or wet in wet blending. Okay, here we are. So we have, I've done it as an overlapping thing. So this is going to be my sign right here. Now I'm going to take my yellow tracing paper because I can do it longer. And when I do my banner shape, I'm not sure how I'm going to shape the bottom of it yet. So I think in this case, I'm just going to give myself some space at the bottom. I'll trace this one. I'll begin tracing my letters, and then I'll lay this under and continue tracing. Okay, and if you haven't seen the 3-in-1 tracing tool, you've got to see this. Okay, so this little guy right here is a rolling ball tracer. It actually has a non-inked rolling ball in there, and it won't make a mark, but it does great for like when you have heavier things like canvas or fabric or something like that. And then I can dial up. Here's my white lead. Okay, and where are you, little white? There we go. There's my gray lead. There's my roller ball, and there's my white lead. Okay, and so you can simply dial whichever size you want, and then click to extend it. Click, oops, click to push it back in so you don't lose it. Anyway, and you could even, where are you? I'll get it straight here. Okay, get it locked in. There we go. You could even, with just one tool, I could make my lines with my gray lead. This also comes off with water and stuff. Okay, so I can make my lines with my gray lead and then just switch to my roller ball, and it's got a cushioned handle on it. So as I'm tracing, I don't know about you, but the old-fashioned stylus of doom, okay, to me, I have a dent. I have a permanent dent in this finger from hanging on to things, and the more I can get cushioned, and the more easy it is. And for some reason, when I'm tracing a pattern, I always have a death grip on it. So this way I have cushion, I have a thick enough handle. If you're starting to get arthritis, this is the tracer for you. And it has the white lead and the gray lead. So it's not the same as pencil lead, it will come off easier. And it all erases with pencil, spit, or ink, with erasers. Okay, so as we're learning to do projects using the words from this book, if you wanted to make your own signs or something like that, then what you'd have to do is you need to know a little bit about layout. I have a DVD on design that talks about how to lay out things and how to make things straight and all that. But in this case, you know, we've just got our words printed out, and we're going to be, you know, just making a sign out of a banner material. So what I do is I put my size of my material down, and I'm using the triple threat pencil with the gray lead. I got to tell you, I looked for a pencil and I couldn't find it, but nobody knows that this is a pencil and a tracer and a white stylet, a white liner. And so nobody knows to steal this. The pencils look like pencils, so this is kind of nice. And that grip is awfully great. So I normally have about 20 pencils at my desk, and somebody, I think Virginia, has walked off with them all. I will accuse her later. Okay, so I trace onto my tracing paper, and this is when the yellow tracing paper on a roll is so fantastic, because it allows me to do it in one giant piece so that I don't have any taping and all that mess that I've got normally going on. I would tape together my printed out sign. Oh. Okay, so, and if you put it on a window, you can see through it and get it taped on there correctly. Okay, and I will have to do that in a minute. But, so we'll tape this on, and then we lay this underneath, pretending it's all taped on there. Now, this part's not going to be there, so if we're distracted by this, let's just get rid of it. Okay, and so I'm going to bring that down there, and then we see how big that's going to be. Okay, so now I'm going to decide how long I want. I think I need to have room for a little toad over here. So I have to decide if I want to have a little froggy poo sitting down there, or what I want to do. Contemplation time, I think. Okay, as I'm getting ready to lay this out, and I told you that I wanted to make sure that I gave you some information about how to lay out, and made some decisions over here. I'm going to fold the yellow tracing paper. You don't know how important a tool your tracing paper is, and it really has nothing whatsoever to do with your just tracing the pattern. It is an absolute design tool, it's a layout tool, it's a decision maker. It's very, very important. Making sure not to have those seams so that you can use your tool like it's supposed to is very important. Okay, so I'm going to fold this basically in half. You know, if you had, you know, you've got this on the computer and you wanted to do it the old-fashioned way, or the new-fashioned way, sorry, you know, you could, but for me this works just fine. I'm going to use my triple threat pencil, and because you can't see it fold through the stuff, so I'm going to make a line there, and then I've decided that I'm going to have about a 1-inch hem up here, and it'll be, you want it big enough so that whatever it is, that whatever dowel you're going to put in at the back, because that's how it will anchor on the back of this. You'll feed this through, and then you'll put a dowel through it on the back side, and the dowel will be longer than this hole, and it'll hold it in there. Okay, so going back to this, sorry. Focus. There we go. So I'm going to line it up on this crack here. Decide approximately how much I want to hang down to the bottom, or not. And where's my top line? Okay. So right, and then I will use the triple threat with the lead, the gray, I guess you'd call it, to trace my pattern. Okay, and I'm sure you don't need to see how patterns get traced. But so the neat thing about this is we could line this up, we could fold this in half, we could figure out what's going to be straight for us, and then put it, lay it out using the tracing paper as a tool. Okay, as we get ready to trace it onto the piece, let me get to the right. This is the rolling ball stylus without ink. I'm going to use it to rip a little hole. These are pretty straight little letters here, and so we want to make sure that we are tracing them very straight. So I'm going to get all lined up, make sure that my pattern stays straight. If you tape through a hole like this and then tape it in 2 spots, then oops, throw your stylus around. And then it helps, everything stay really steady and you won't shift. Okay, and then you can just slide your tracing paper underneath there. One of the tools that you might want to use as you're doing this is your one of your rulers. We have a couple of choices of rulers. I think I have like 80 rulers, but you know, they all have reasons for being. This one is a pretty unique one that we just added. For those of you who have glasses needs, this has a magnifying glass built right into it. So let's say we're going here with the American Artist magazine. You can actually, you know, you go inside and you can't read the print, then you have your magnifier in there, and it's got the metric and it's got the inches on that side. So maybe that's a nice size for us. It comes with a protective cover so that you don't scratch that lens, and a little bookmarky thing, so if you want to tuck it into a book and have it handy. So when you're getting ready to trace, some tracing paper. I think I did a little bit of a smaller piece here. So we know how to take care of that, right? Scissors of doom called my hand. All right. And so here we go. We're going to put this inside here. Now if I had done it maybe a little bit wider, I could do a couple letters at a time. So we'll lay it out like that. Go for the roller ball on my triple threat here. There's one of these that has it's without a tracer, and it just has this point on it. That's the roller ball, in case you already have ones with leads. These letters are so important that they are straight, because they are such straight letters. You want to be really careful to trace them accurately. Okay, so we'll just lay it out. The nice thing about this roller ball, without the ink in it, is this is heavy enough feeling that it won't poke through, like if you're doing a softer project like on fabric or something like that as well. So it's great for your wood surfaces and fabric. Notice how fast this is going with the using the ruler here. Okay, and for the tops I think I'll just wing that, but when I get ready to paint them, I'm going to approach it just slightly differently. I'm going to use tape, my friend, tape monster. Tape will make them very straight. And I'm not going to use tape, I'm not going to tape all the way around them. But some of these have very, very strong lines, and we want to preserve the strong lines of this project. Okay, so we get ready to base our letters with cocoa. This is exactly what these bottle openers are for. As I'm trying to push this bottle in here, I'm going to have all kinds of dried on stuff, and I can't get it open, and it hurt my finger. And that's not nice. So that's what these little openers are for. This is the stuff that actually makes them hard to open, but I don't want to sit there and peel crap off my paint bottles all the time, so I'd rather just use my little paint bottle opener. Anyway, we're going to use cocoa, and we are going to talk about how to keep these letters looking neat. The letters are going to be super duper 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 important, and so I'm going to use my stretchy tape. And the reason I'm going to use stretchy tape is because sometimes I'm going to need wide and sometimes I'm going to need narrow. Okay, and because it is, because it stretches, it will do a very good job. It sticks a little bit better. Okay, so now this one does go over this eye, but that's okay. Now what I want to do is I want to do this to the letters that have really, really long straight lines. I'm not going to do all of them, like I said. Okay, so, and actually we're going to backtrack one step. We're going to go on with our Scotch tape. Okay, and we're going to line the tops of these letters. Now you're going to want to make sure that everything is stuck down real good. Okay, and you can kind of even see it when you're braying it with your fingernail. I didn't stick the top or the edges because that's not important. And so what this is going to do is clean our bottom of our letters up. Now our C comes down a little bit into the bottoms. And my W looks like I wonky-fied when I guesstimated on that. Alright, so now we'll go back to our stretchy tape, and on the long lines, only the long lines, oops. We could do just a bunch of these, cut a bunch of them and have them ready to go. Okay, so on the rest of them, it's the long lines we mess up on, so we'll make sure that we keep everything looking straight. I'm going to need a flat brush that has a good edge. And I think what that means for me, I don't use flats for too much. I think that might mean I'm going to have to go buy a brush. Oh, no, here we go. These are workhorse flats, and they are fantastic. All right, so we're going to wet our brush. We get paper towel. When you are doing your lettering, it is very, very important that you keep control, because control is, you've got to have good flow. You have to have good control. So here's how this works. Got my paint. Okay, I've got a good angle. I'm going to move my project so that I get an angle that is comfortable for me. Got my tape for my other control. I'm going to put a little bit of water down here, and then I'm going to pull some paint into this. Now I don't want to thin this out too much, and then this is going to make my paintbrush a little bit watery. But I need a, almost like I'm lining, I need a creamy consistency. You know, it's moving, pardon me, it's moving around, but it's not thick like this is, and it's not thin like water. Then I'm going to blot my brush completely, okay, and then I'm going to flat load my paintbrush into the creamy consistency paint. I'm going to get my glasses, okay, and then we keep our brush straight up and down. And I don't want to push paint into my tape lines. I want to pull paint from my tape lines. So I'm going to start outside of that. Nice, even line, pulling towards myself. This is just like lining, exactly like lining. I'm going to pull towards me here. Okay, and then I'm going to come on this side. It's hard for me to see the other side of my hand. So what I would normally recommend doing is turning your project over. Okay. So this is going to give us this nice, clean, crisp edge. Okay, then this can go a little bit quicker, and I can use my thicker paint next to my tape. You don't want to use the thin. Okay. It's that flow of the edge that we needed the liquid in our paint. Anytime you need a flow, you need to put some water in there. Okay, so then we'll get one more. Now, I'll turn this so that I can see what the heck I'm doing. Pull towards me. If I was pushing away, then it's going to make it messy. Okay, and then in this case I am going to push away just to start. Well, maybe just to finish. Okay, and then thicker paint near our tape line. You want to be especially careful when we get into this faux finishy area. Not that you can't just pre-rub or, you know, fix it with a rub of colors because it's so variegated. Okay, now you could work a couple of letters at the same time. And you don't want to move to the next letter until you're ready to take that tape off. Okay, so then you do a couple of coats. And then when you're ready, after this is dry, and I'll show you, you take your tape off as soon as you possibly can. Alright, so I'll put my last coat of paint on those thin areas. It's nice and warm out. That means everything's drying real quickly. You know, it seems kind of crazy to be doing a Halloween project here in the month of June. But we all know that if we don't start them in June, we won't get them done by October. And in reality, we want them out by maybe the 1st of October for Halloween. Loving the new brush basin. New Studio One. Okay, so we'll peel this. When you peel tape, you peel directly back and away from your subject. And then I just tape them to the edge of my table till they're dry and then wad them up. Okay, now we have nice, wonderful, wonderful letters. I have no idea what happened right there. The wave eraser, if you dip it into water and you erase with fresh paint, it will remove your fresh paint. It will not remove your dry paint. So there we go. Okay, so that took off the paint, and I'm thinking I might have messed up this line right here. Maybe we want to go ahead and erase that too, although I was drying that in between, so we'll see how we do. How much comes off. If I don't have to repaint it all, that'd be great. And this eraser has a chisel on it, a chisel edge, so it can do a nice line. That's not too bad for a ooh, nice clean. This is an excellent cleaning up tool. Okay, and then that little bit right there, I'll wait until I get my take my other tape off. Okay, so see how nice and tidy those edges are, and it doesn't matter like this has got just a little warble and stuff, but because this line is so great, that is fooling the eye for everything else, and it's going to make everything look straight, even though everything isn't quite as straight. So that's just a real good crutch tool if you really, really need some straight lines. And boy, when we get down here to this only word, let's have some really long straight lines. All right, so base coat, and I'll catch you back here. Okay, so we've got our stencil for the top, and we want to put a little bit of stencil adhesive on our stencils. So this is the front because the words read right. So on the back side, we'll put a little bit of stencil adhesive. This is a new cheap, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. This works fantastically. Aleene's Tack It Over and Over. You can brush it on. You can put it on a couple spots. You can take your hair off of your stencil before you do it. Okay, this is probably the most challenging thing I've ever done with a stencil. Okay, so in this case, I know I'm going to use witches and moons. I could take the time and just adhesive the whole thing, but I think I want to just, for shortcuts, we'll just put a little bit of, use this medium-sized little witchy poo. This is just the cutest, cutest, cutest stencil. Okay. We allow that to dry, and it'll be just sticky in a couple spots. You can do the whole back, and then what you do when you're done is, where's my stencil book? You take clear sheets like so, and you have your stencil and you stick it onto your clear sheet, and you can put those into books and for storage. So you wouldn't put them in there, you would just put them on there. Okay, when this gets dry, you'll know that it's dry because it's clear, and you just blot it off with your hand or with a cloth. And peel it off my little waxy paper here. I believe you can remove this. One of the things I was thinking about is if you wanted to, this particular stencil is reversible, so you can have the cats facing one direction or the other direction. So if you wanted to reverse it, then the tacky stuff might be a problem. Honestly, I've never painted over tacky stuff, so I wouldn't know. But I think it's removable with rubbing alcohol. So what we're going to do then is we're going to position our stencil of doom on this little dude right here. And I think what we'll do is we use our ruler, which I laid down. It doesn't have to be exact, but you know, kind of, sort of centered is going to make me happier. And with these irregular angles and stuff like that, it's probably better that I use a little measuring device. Okay, so it's an inch, inch and a half. I keep doing that. See if I in this particular case, here's what I would do. Okay, so I'm having a problem tracing, trusting that straight is going to look right. So I need to grab my tracing paper. We should grab our triple thread and get the right tip out there. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace this onto my tracing paper. We're going to get all that on there, and then what I can do is I can lay this over this way, and I can make sure how I want that to sit in there. Okay, yeah, so it's not going to be straight. Okay, so do you see the difference here? This is like way longer, but it doesn't, if it completed a circle, it would probably still, maybe my angle's going to be differently. Okay, maybe it is centered. Okay, so sometimes this mental image throwing things crazy wonky is enough to drive you crazy. So I'll put this here, push that down, and then get paint on, wild paint running loose. Okay, so we will tap this off with a makeup applicator. Okay, lay that down. And we will apply it. You want to make sure that you're not applying it, you know, over the tails of the cats and things like that. In a big stencil like this, it is nice to have that stencil adhesive so it doesn't pucker, suck up and stuff. Okay, let's squirt out some more paint. And just repeat the process. If you tap up and down, then you won't be scooching paint underneath the edge of the stencil. If I was going to do something tinier or, you know, get into some of these tighter spots and stuff like that, then I might switch to a tiny stencil brush or something like that. And peel it off, and ta-da! There's our little moon. Okay, love it. If you want to clean these up, it's warm soapy water in the sink, and that cleans it right up. Okay, let's see what that looks like as soon as we get there. All right, we want to make the moon a little bit more glowier than it is, so we're going to use these dome stencil brushes. They are domed over the top instead of flat, which is perfect for like dry rubbing or dry brushing, whichever term you use. We want to make this dreamy look. We want even tooth on this, which is another good reason to use a roller. We're going to dip it into our paint, and it's going to be a totally dry brush. Excuse me. If you have these wet, then they make a smeary mess, and so you can't have any moisture in them at all. We're going to dry off all of the moisture onto our paper towel so that there's just almost like dust. You almost can't feel it with your finger. And then we're going to do it, we're going to rub closest to the moon. And we want this to kind of glow, so it's going to be the strongest next to the moon. So we start where we want it the strongest. Okay, fill that in just a little bit. Go in a circle. You can have that glow spread out just a little bit more. Reload as needed. Just rubbing gentle pressure, really gentle pressure. I call this dry rubbing. Dry brushing is supposed to look like it's scratchy paint, and this kind of doesn't look like scratchy paint. So this is, and it's natural to lose some of the little hairs on these brushes. So if you see them falling out, they fall out a lot, you have a problem, but it is natural to lose some hairs. So I'm just going to fill this in, and then we're going to brighten it with another color as well. So we're not going to get all the way there with just one color. Bring that outside of that glow area. And we'll just keep increasing the strength until we like it. Sometimes when I want stuff to strengthen, I'll stipple it, and that helps it stick just a little bit. Don't dry rub on a wet area. So if you've been working at it for a while and it feels cold to the touch, then it's still wet, and you want to stay out of there because you'll dig a hole. Okay, so be real careful of holes. Okay, notice that I'm changing the direction that my hand's going. I'm not always going in one direction. I'm going this way, that way, this way, that way, that kind of thing. Okay, so now we've got a kind of a moon. I think maybe one more time, and we'll see about brightening. Okay, bravo, I like that. We'll get a brighter color now. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to just dirty brush. I haven't washed my brush, this is dry. Go into Golden Straw, same technique. And we'll need to increase the strength of our moon coloring as well. I'm wondering if I want to go ahead and lay that stencil back over the top. And go ahead and just dirty sponge, stipple a little bit brighter. Maybe faster, maybe. Okay. Now I'll definitely have to wait for that to dry. But that's kind of neat, I think, with the glowy, yellowy of it, with the more subtle orange back there. I'm kind of liking that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get just a little bit more yellow in our moon area. a little bit. Kind of staying out of my moon. I like this tone on tone. I like that I could dry rub with this cocoa color first and then increase it after with the golden yellow. If I had made the moon just golden straw, I wouldn't have been able to use the cocoa in the background and done this technique. I'd have had to redo something. And I don't know, it seems to me it's nicer to know where that moon actually is and have it in place. So I like that technique of stenciling twice. Okay, and then that increases that. We'll see, the nice thing about this, we can make decisions as we go. Now yours may be lighter or darker than mine, and you may have different decisions to make. Always feel free to change things and go with your own instincts. Okay, I think I'm safe to go ahead and wash my brush. And in this case, because I would have to go and go get it cleaned at the sink, because the kind of brush, I'm just going to dump it in that bucket. Okay, next we're going to put our witch on our moon. I'm going to do that with black. Now I'm using a different size witch, so I'm going to need to hold down my stencil, and it's going to go through this dry rubbed area. Okay, and then we have, by lightening that area behind the moon, then that makes it so that our black witch will stand out in silhouette. Okay, and here we go, the big reveal. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, my pretty. I like it. Okay, and then it's got these little bridges right here, and all you do with the little bridges is you just take a brush and fix them. Take a brush with your glasses, right? And I'll just connect them. Whoops, and lay my finger right in that. Okay, so we just connect those little bridges, and then you won't be able to tell that it's stenciled. That almost looks like a belt right there, but we'll go ahead and just connect it all the way around. Okay, and so there we go. Our witch is whole. And now, of course, we need to add some lovely things like stars and things like that. Okay, so you would do this step before I'm doing this step, but I want to brighten that just one more step. So, you know, leave off the witch, do the witch after you do this next brightening step. Lower the glasses, dun dun dun. The moon to be just even one more bright. You know what I do? Go back to this, laying this over the top. One more time. This part probably is not a shortcut or a good thing. I'm not covering it everywhere. I guess it's kind of giving it a textury kind of look. Yeah, like that. Now I can go back in with my witchy. Okay, and we will mask her. Where did I go? Couldn't figure out why I had 3 colors. Well, silly, because I did the color over. Okay. So we'll just go right back on the areas where she's got the color missing. Patch her up. Okay. There, that's just a little bit brighter. And now we'll take out a different crescent stencil brush. This one's a crescent, and I'm going to go into Desert Turquoise. Okay, and we're going to brighten up our little sky with our little sky dust, kind of. Now that we did the first one with the blue and stuff, but we're going to introduce a little bit of this Desert Turquoise in here. And we want it in the brightest areas. And I'm scumbling, and I'm swirling, and magical. You know, you got to kind of think about these things as you're doing them. And put yourself in the frame of mind. Remember to use dry paper towels because that will introduce water to things as well. And then we bring that out of the other side. Remember, we were snaking it around to where the banner comes out, so we'll snake that right on around there. And now we're going to switch to Bahama Blue for just a little more brightness. I guess you could probably just add some white to your desert turquoise if you wanted to. Okay, so now swirl in with a lighter touch and on top of where I did the other color, and not so much in the darker areas. I think this witch might mean trouble. I'm thinking all others are going to be towed. And maybe a little bit more. A little bit brighter. Okay, that's kind of getting some magicalness to it. Okay. Get that up there, all right. Now we need some stars. Let's see, we've got this whole new line of stencils. I haven't even talked to you about it. So very exciting. We have got witches. This one's Travel by Broomstick. We have got Witch's Brew. This is all kinds of spider webs and brew words and things like that. We've got them all out here. We've been having so much fun looking at them. We have got a stencil of pumpkin faces and pumpkins that are sized to go with them. We have eek bats, which is all kinds of stars and bats and things like that. We have a haunted village. Dun, dun, dun. That's just really cute. And then a background stencil, which is all bats to go on a background. Okay, now I think we're going to use the stars from eek bats. Nope. Oh, yep. I like our witches stars too. Darn, I might have to use them both. Now my decision right here, this is what's kind of fun. Look how easy this is just to put together a whole scene using stencils. I like the size of these guys. I'm trying to decide if I like their motion. So I can flip them down and around. And or do I like these guys? Alright, I'm going to go away and I'll come back when I've decided. Okay, I'm using this. I decided on the ones from the eek bats because they're clustered kind of cool. And I'm going to see how they look with, do I like them in those colors? Let's see, let's go for, wipe off my stencil and then I'm going to flip it over. Go into the darker blue. The further I get away from things, the less brightness I'm going to want. Do I like that? I couldn't decide if I wanted yellow stars or if I wanted the teal stars. I'm not sure. So I decided the best way to tell is to go ahead and do some in both colors, and we'll be able to see if we like them one way or the other. So I'm going to do this side in the gold stars, and I'm using the ones from the witches because it bends the right way. Oh gosh, I think I like the yellow. Okay, so what I would do in this case is I'm going to go back to these stars and I'm going to lay my stencil back over. Actually, I think I'll do this first because I can tell exactly where that goes. And boy, I guess the lesson we're learning today is about re-stenciling, huh? So I'm just going to make those into gold stars. And then we'll lay this one over. And I think I had that one flipped around backwards. We want to make sure not to lay a dirty stencil over that area because then it will make muck on. Okay. Okay, as I'm looking at these two together, we're going to need to bring this brightness through our letters. And so we'll just plop that puppy up there. Go back into our same brushes. Now, if you are just starting this and you're watching your way through, make sure with these episodes, always watch all the way through just to make sure you save yourself any efforts. For example, you wouldn't have to rebase coat your letters, although sometimes it's a color balance thing. So you might not know how much you need until you get it on there. And this is a very loose technique, and it does depend on what you've got going. So I'm going to mess up my letters just a little bit, get some of that in the background. And then we'll just go, a quick little flick of the brush will fix that, so I'm not worried about it. And then we'll go into the lighter color, dirty brush. Dirty brush with not enough wiping off. Did you see that big blob I just made right there? Way more wiping off. We want to make spots for sparkles to land. And that means that, you know, I want to put like sparkle dust and things like that as I come through. So make sure you make, like this would be a good spot right here, on top of there, on top of here, and then on down, so maybe in 3 places. Put these two together, see if they kind of balance. Okay, set my brush aside, and then we'll go back into our flat brush and our cocoa color. And we'll just give our letters, where we rubbed over them, a quick improvement. It's always easier to just go back and refresh than it is to base coat, so you don't have to worry about doing all that stuff. Because your lines are already made, all you have to do is get the color on top. And I know that doesn't sound very right, but it is. So just go ahead and refresh them if you've already done these steps. Okay, it is time to brighten up our letters. And so we are going to use our cadmium yellow. And let's check out what happens if we do them all on. When you have a brush and you're loading it for floating, always make sure you let it sit in the water for just a few minutes because then it wakes it up. A well woken up brush will float better. I'll walk those in just a little bit and see what we think of that. I think we'll go forward with this and we'll make it be all of the, I'm going to be careful about it getting a little too electric. We'll make them be all the left sides of the letters. So I'll get that brightened up. Yeah, I think that's better that way. walk it in just a little bit if you need to. I'm using a 1/2 inch brush, 1/2 inch workhorse flat. Okay, yeah, that's much better. I think it's so neat what you can do with all these tools like the stencils in the book and you know, sponges and all that stuff. I think we're just in such a great time to be decorative artists because there's so many things that we can pick and choose from. You know, you're not all painting the same thing. We're not all painting strawberries, you know, which is where Tole painting kind of started from. Everybody painted strawberries together in a class, and everybody did learn color theory, which I think is missing, and I wish we had that. But how neat that we can make just all the choices that we have. Okay, up here we'll want to make sure. And notice I'm just reloading, I don't know if you can notice or not, but I am just reloading water and I keep floating. This is the same yellow swatch each time. You don't have to rinse your whole brush off. If you want more tips about floating and stuff, I show you like 9 or 11 ways or something like that in the How to Float DVD. I see a lot of people wasting a lot of palette paper and a lot of time reloading everything every time. So I just reload water and color. Okay, and I'm going to finish the rest of these and I'll get back. Okay, generally speaking, when I do lettering like this, I do drop shadows. And a drop shadow is where you do a line next to the line. Now, what I'm not sure about is if I'm going to like it. Okay, the drop shadows just really makes the letters just kind of more dimensional. So I am going to do this prepared to erase. Here's the problem that we have. We have the problem being that if I mess up my cool background and I can't fix it, then I'm going to end up redoing my background. So I mean, this is kind of serious. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start over here with my W, and I'm just going to choose the same side that I did, and I'm going to assess on the W side. If you didn't tape and you're a messy letterer, this is a really great opportunity to fix your letters. Okay, so I'm assessing and I really can't tell the difference, but I think I kind of like it. I think I want this one wider. Okay, so I'll march forward, keeping out of those letters. You've got those really nice straight lines. Let's go in closer for you so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, see how that just gives it that dimension. Now when we get over here into these light letters, that's where we're going to end up. Let's go over here and we'll try this one first. If you make the sound effects while you're making the lettering, then it helps. Okay, so I think we can live with that. I think that just gives it a little bit more richness and dimension. So we'll just go through. I'm using thinned paint. I'm using my number 4 stroke round brush. Pro round, sorry. And getting wiggly. Okay. We'll just continue with those. Okay, so I think this is another one of those suppositions. You know, this is never cast in stone, you know. I'm going to use my round brush and we're going to do desert turquoise on my letters. I'm thinking I'm going to end up kissing something with a little bit of green, but I don't know what yet. So right now we'll just get something on there so I can decide some stuff. Now these get to be messy letters. They're scribbled on there. They're going to need 2 coats. But the more like handwriting, I traced on the funny little blank areas so that I could fill those in. So this doesn't have to be so exact. Just fill it all in. Okay, we're going to get a number 4, Patty's favorite dry brush. These are fantastic dry brushing brushes. This dry brushing is the kind where we talk about how it makes these dried, scratchy little scratches on the surface. We load the brush. Let's talk about that for a second. We load the brush just flat into this. In this case, usually if I'm going to base coat a project or I'm going to paint through a whole project, we juicy load it, but I'm just going to barely load, and I'm going to flick on the piece. I'm tickling pressure, very light pressure, and it's to look really scratchy. This is not the rubbing kind of dry brushing. This is the, I want to make it look dried and scratchy. Just at the tops, flick on your paper towel. It's just, I want to add some brightness. I wanted to bring in a whole other color. I wanted to bring in green, and I may still bring in green, but all my color wheels are saying no, and I'm saying yes. So I decided to stick with this teal color, and we'll see how we get it. This blue, this gold, and this teal are in the proper alignment for using in a project. So if you are trying to use paints, you know, you're trying to come up, so like now you've got these stencils and you've got this great book with these words in it, and you want to come up with a combination of stuff to, like, you want to come up with your own color. So this is the 3-in-1 color tool, and in here you can decide, you know, okay, I want to make a project that is, obviously we wouldn't do a pink witch sign, okay, that doesn't make much sense. So you would say, okay, I want it in purple, or I want it in, you know, orange or something like that. And so in this case I took my blue violet color, which is my background, and I flipped over my card, and then it gives me colors that I can use with that color, and since it is the main color, I figure I probably ought to listen. Alright, so then as I go through here, I say, okay, I'm not just using only one, I'm not using just blue and gold, although I almost did. I need another color. So I could go over here and I could do blue and gold with green and red, but I've already introduced this color right here, this teal color. So then I go over here, I could use it with purple, okay, but then interesting enough, if you come over here, we can go here and we can use these violets, or I guess it's red violet, all the way over to what is my desert turquoise, and then it's across from my golden yellow kind of color. So where I decided to go, I mean, I would have liked to have brought in my green. Now I may still kiss it with a little bit of green because I think you can have accent colors. I'm not pretending like I know everything about color theory, but these are the kinds of tools that can help you make decisions. So I was unsure. I had my green out here. It didn't look right. What am I going to do? So I went to a tool, and you know, if you're going to do yellow, maybe you don't normally paint in yellow, you know, but this is going to help you. It's going to give you some suggestions. And then I have my book, my paint color book, all organized, and a lot of you have seen this, but you know, just in case you're joining us and it's new, these are painted chips of the Deco Art paints. And when you get the 3-in-1 color tool, I have converted these into the colors that are on here, so you can find Midnight Blue on your cards, and it's sorted by Midnight Blue, it's sorted by the name, it's sorted by the color family, and it's sorted by, excuse me, so maybe the number, sorted 3 different ways. And anyway, so then I can go into here, I've got these organized by color families, and I can go into these and I can look for, say, something in that family of colors that will work with the suggested colors. So anyway, but that's just a good thing. I share a lot of these in my How to Design DVD. A lot of people want to know, well, how do I get started designing something? Or I could never design. Well, I was one of you guys as well. I totally couldn't design. I totally couldn't do a whole lot of stuff, and I started picking up tricks and tips and things like that one by one, and realized that really designing is a matter of wanting, so desire, and it's a matter of just learning techniques, just like decorative painting is. You know, I didn't go to art school, failed art in high school, so, you know, if I can do it, you guys can do it. And, you know, with these great tools that we have, makes it super easy. You know, now we don't have to know all this stuff, you know, or have drawn for 500 years or something like that. Now we have, you know, copiers and computers that can enlarge things and stuff. It's great. Okay, so I'm just going to make this brighter. Repeat the coat one time. And maybe we'll bring it down just enough to bring it under. Tickle, tickle. Okay. Get a little distance from it if you feel like you need to, you know, is that enough? And actually that reminds me, hang on, I'll go get that 3-in-1 color tool out again. The 3-in-1 color tool has it has value binders right on board, and so you don't have to spend $10 on value binders when you can get just this 3-in-1 color tool. And so let's see if we can make this thing work for you. Okay, so this has a red and a green value finder on it. Okay, now what that means is when you look through it, let's see if we can get it through. Do you see how you can see through that? But what's interesting, look at the difference. Let's go this way. Okay, there we go. It kind of takes the color out and it shows you just how bright or dark something is. The red takes out the warm colors or does the warm colors, and the green do the cool colors. Okay, notice how dull the only is up there, and notice how nice and bright this is. This, when you hold it up, it's going to show you how much, look at those words just disappear. Can you see the skinny small words? So that's telling me that my value of this is too close to my value of that. All right, so you can see the toad, but you can't see the base very much. So that's telling me that things are too close together. So I'm going to need to pop this. And I already knew that, but maybe we don't always know that. So now I need to get out. I'm going to figure out how to pop it. All right, and I think the first thing I'll do is I'll start with that black in that lining onto the side there. Just to pop it just a little bit. I don't think I want it there. Okay, that'll make it all stand out just a little bit. Okay, like that. We have to decide if we're going to go under things. I think we'll go under. Oopsie. Okay, so just then, where are my little tools of doom here? Doom is a word we use here at the office all the time. We have Q-tips of doom, paintbrush of doom. Okay, so these are the Q-tips with the little pointy ends on them. And I just got a whole bunch of flooding right there. These things will wick the water right up in like almost like a little suction cup. So you keep one handy. And what is going on with my brush? I found a puddle of water someplace on my palette, I think. I'll go underneath each of those letters. And that just helps pop everything up, especially when we're real close to the same color. Sometimes the hardest part is keeping straight which one. Where do you do it? Okay. Lettering is such a fun thing to do, and it's so popular right now. Okay, so we get all those done. Now we have to add some brightness, because obviously that's not going to work. Don't know if I'm going to do the black to the toad part. I'll have to see about that. Now, a long time ago when I was painting murals with a friend of mine, she was the artiste, and I was the artiste in training, I guess. I would say, well, that's not red. And she'd say, well, it's my red. And so I'm hoping that, like, this is a blue-green, and I'm hoping I can make this blue-green kind of thing end up being my green. So sometimes you don't need to be green, you know, like that kind of green. You can have it be a different green, and it can be the green within the green family, if that makes any sense. So you don't always have to be green to be, it's not easy being green. You don't always have to be green, if that makes any sense at all. Some of you are going to cross your eyes at that, and other of you are going to go, oh, I get it. And sometimes I think you just have to arrive there. All right, so I'm going to use this blue-green, and I'm going to make a nice sheer float, and I'm going to shade the base, hoping to increase the greenness of these letters. And I may not succeed, we'll see. And if I get a little on this background, I don't think I'm going to care. And if I do, then I'll wipe it off with my Q-tips. The nice thing about these is because they are pointy, you can get into all those cute little corners that you get yourself into. And they really, actually, you don't use it and throw it away, you just use it and use it and use it. I don't know why that works with the Q-tip ones, the ones that are the brand name Q-tip. You get one swipe out of that puppy and you are afraid. This thing is just, it's not hard like where it's dangerous and hurts you, but it is really tightly wound, and I think that must make all the difference in the world. Okay, so we're gonna, now this is where I'm gonna want to be careful of my background because I'm lighter here. The light is going to make that green catches that, and it's going to be like a glaze, and it's going to be all over, so we don't want that. So we are going to float on up there. All right, I have to do something to brighten up these letters right here. They're just visible, but not very, 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 very visible. So I'm just going to side load into my round, and I'm going to kind of dry brush down one side of these letters and kind of just brighten them, almost like a draggy dry brush, but I'm not really trying to dry brush. I'm just trying to give them a little scratch of something a little bit brighter, and maybe not do every letter, you know, maybe just the dark parts. You know, let's see how we go here. Yeah, I think that'll help out quite a bit. Okay, I'm a little bit concerned that my toad letter isn't showing, so I'm going to get into the black and do some of that drop shadowing. So we have two choices, right? When we're doing our lettering like this, or when we have something, contrast is beauty. So when we have not enough contrast, meaning difference, then things are too much alike, and therefore you can't see them. Now sometimes contrast can be beauty, or lack of contrast can, in meaning if you want a subtle painting, maybe the way to go is to keep the contrast low. But in this case, we want, the toad is like the part that's going to jump off. I really don't want to lighten it too much more down here, so we could approach it that way. Get into one of my crescent stencil brushes, and what color, yeah. Desert turquoise. Now, would you do this to yours? Maybe not. Maybe yours is light enough. So, you know, you really have to assess your individual project. Okay, so I'm going to go back here. Since this is the same family of colors that I was using, I might have to redarken those letters up a little bit. But right down here where the letters live, now that kind of makes it the same because I just went over it, but I could refloat then. You know, this is, I think, painting is just like a tap dance. You know, 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards. You know what's right. You know what's going to make you happy. So you have to look for that, whatever that is. So now that I lightened that, I can darken this. Okay, and then darken this wherever I scumbled over. Okay, and now I will go into the round brush and my, let's turn on some lights here. Ta-da! Get our round brush going, and let's see if we're going to like this drop shadow. See if we can really see that better. do we like it? See, I have a period of time when I can take it away. Well, I think it does show, so I'm going to go for that. And we've done all the others, so I guess it's a, by default, we'll go with these. So go in there. Yeah, I think that's showing up a little bit better. Okay, everybody gets the same treatment. Okay. So now we've got that on there. I think we'll probably beef up the top with just a little bit of a lighter color, like maybe by adding white to something. So we'll get out our Snow White. And we'll add white to the lightest Bahama blue color. Get out our small Patty's Fair dry brush and just brush mix about half-half, 50-50 with the white and the Bahama blue. And let's go to the top. Okay, so then we just are going to beef up just the very top. We're not going to take this color up as or down as far. Just to bring the attention to that very, 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 very top. Okay, now I'm adding some frogs using the Witch's Brew stencil. And I'm using bluegrass green, and then I'm mixing with the dirty brush. This is the the dome stencil brush. I'm mixing Sea Breeze and tapping the tops of the two frogs on the stencil. So what I did was I went just a little bit greener on these. So I'm still in a blue green, but I'm still getting more green. So I'm just deciding how many to put. Sprinkling froggies, or toadies, I guess in this case, throughout. And then this one we won't do them on the letter, we'll do them peeking up behind. Like the one that's at the base of my A, so I'm going to get my wave eraser wet and get rid of him. If I've done a lot of work in this area, I'm going to want to be careful that I don't erase the other work that I did. And I did a little bit, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. Using a clean paper towel might be an awesome idea. Time for a new paper towel. So almost gone. Okay. I think we need to dry brush maybe a little bit of a froggy, toady kind of thing up. This is where we'll get out our triple threat, and we'll put some frog eyes on it. Let's see, how does a froggy's little mouth go? For a toad. Okay, so a dry brush. Our green. More kind of green back there. Don't want to cover everything up. We want him to be subtle in the background. Those the soapstone or the chalk lines or whatever material that is, it's not quite like chalk, it's not quite like soapstone, is highly erasable, which we love. Okay, we'll get that, and then we'll highlight. Dirty brush. And our poor little guys all need eyes, don't they? Okay, our toad's eyes are going to be just slits that go. Oh, got a big drop of water. Make sure your ferrule is dry when you're painting. Otherwise you'll end up with problems. Get all their little eyeballs on there. And somebody once told me that if you're a living thing, you have to have a sparkle in your eye. And if you're not alive, you have no sparkle. So you always got to have a sparkle. That also adds some visibility to these little guys down here. And let's line his mouth. Oops. I could see. Wonder if they need like a little tongue or something like that. Ribbit. All right, let's see what we need now. Okay, I'm going to get my jumbo medium crescent stencil brush, my clean paper towel. We're going to go into red violet. I'm going to dry it all off on here, and we're going to add an accent. I'm going to do this around our edges, not up in our blue areas, not evenly. Just a kiss of color. A little bit of electrical pop. It's not going to show very much. Get it right along the edge. That's why you've got paper on the table. Here and there and everywhere. A little bit of something in my brush, I think. Which by the time we get done spattering and doing all the crazy things we're going to do to finish this, it won't matter. And now I think I'm going to do a dangerous thing. I think I want to give a little bit of a glaze. I'm going to be careful of my blue. The tops of my letters. Let's take a look. Yeah. Maybe to the bottoms on the sides, just to oval it in. Yeah, I like that. At the base just a little bit. More at the top. Oh yeah, that's nice. That it really shows. A little bit off. Soften it, there we go. Sweet. Okay, let's see if we need a little bit of this on. Okay, little kisses here and there. And things kind of all come together. Now we'll go on the edges here. Swirl it in. And a little bit there. Okay. I think I can put that brush away. Okay, we're going to add spider web with our stencil. We're not going to do sideways spiders, but we will add spider web. If you wanted to figure out a way to cut the bottom of this, Rocklon can cut beautifully. Okay, we're going to mix black and white together because one is too dark and the other is too light. Let's see if that even shows. Okay, I think a little bit more white. So we want a medium gray kind of thing. I love the idea of some of these stencils for stuff. The bats stencil, I don't know if you have ever base coated bats before, but they are the biggest pain in the tush because they have points everywhere, and so those points are the hard thing to base coat, getting the points right. And so to have a stencil that does them is just brilliant. Okay, now I'm going to take my white and I'm going to muddy that on my palette. And then I'm going to just lighten in between, go a little bit lighter. A little bit more, a little bit more. Almost like dewdrops. Okay, let's see what we got. Awesome. Yay, that's great. Okay. Now we'll go up here. We'll add another one. Go back up to our medium gray. Now this is our darker area, so a little bit lighter is going to be better than too dark because you don't want to show too much, but it's definitely our very light area. Lighter. Yeah, lighter still. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, great. Awesome. Okay. We probably need to drop a spider down. Let's go ahead and drop the spider, and we'll use that medium gray that we've got going on. And then we'll go black dark first. And it's not quite black, it's a gray color. Then we'll go with our mix and to the top head of him. Awesome. Yay. Okay, so we're getting kind of creepy Creepy crawly. Looking at these going, okay, what do we do now? You know, because it's just so much fun. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to spatter. And I've got a unique way of spattering that I think is really helpful. We'll spatter before we do anything else so that we can add the star stencils and things without getting them all mucky muss. I'm using the White Wonder Brush, which is like a filbert comb, and it is going to be fully loaded with water. So we're going to come in over here onto our palette. I'm trying to think of what colors I want. We'll start with the Desert Turquoise. Make a puddly, inky body. It's got to be like you were going to line with it, so very thin. Flatten out my brush, get it splayed out a little bit. I'm going to use a heavy handle paintbrush that I'll anchor, and I always test to see what I got going on. Okay, now to get it controlled, it's a feature of, let me back you up just a little bit. Okay, to control it, it's either raising, notice this is anchored, it's either raising or lowering this. The more control, the closer I am to the surface. The more I want snow, the higher up I go. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap the wood of the handle onto the wood or the plastic of the paintbrush. Exactly where I want it. Now here I can have this broader. I want this to be in this area, but I don't want it everywhere because we're making like magical witch's dust. You know, gosh, gotta have magical witch's dust, right? Now once I want it controlled, I'm going to tap it sharply wherever I want it controlled. Now we're going to go in here and spatter with some yellow colors as well. Now, this is going to spatter all over the place, but if I want to pick up a drop within the middle of spatters, maybe I don't like how that looks, I can just use my Q-tips, okay, and I can pick those up. In this particular project, maybe it's not so important, but I know, those of you who have painted any time at all, I know that you have painted fruit and ended up with a giant black spatter right in the middle of like the most important part of the fruit where it didn't look good, like on a water drop or something. I turn my piece according to how the direction I want my spatters. Okay, so definitely watch what you're doing. And now I'm going to turn it the opposite way from me because the spatters go out. Now we'll go dirty brush, well, washed kind of dirty brush, and I'm going into the next lightest color, which is Bahama Blue. Always test off. I think I'll go down here first. Now see, I just got, my poor frog's face is gone, but I can clean it up with control. Maybe I want a little bit over my spider web. I think at this point, let's go with black. Definitely spatter off with the black. Okay, I'm gonna move my witch. Everything around you will get spattered when you spatter, so just be prepared. I'm gonna go around the edges with the black. Staying out of my lighter area, just going into my spider web stuff. My Q-tip back. Add a little bit more water because it's coming off weird. Now I made lines, so I'm going to go back and soften those lines. I'm hurrying, and I shouldn't be hurrying because this is like so much fun. Okay, now if you have something painted on the back of your surface, you want to be really careful that you don't smear things around. I'm going to go into white and the Bahama Blue. So this is just exactly like when you paint. You can't start with the lightest color first. you have to start and have a base. You have to have something for those light colors to sit on top of. Our frog, there's like an exclamation mark down there. Helps if you can see, huh? Now we need to get some yellows on top of the yellow areas that we have. So I think we'll go, I think we're going to go golden straw. This might actually be, you know what, we're going to go stencil first. So I'm going to get out golden straw and cad yellow, because first we'll need to add some stars, and we can do that. The same thing that we did with the top, we have to do with the bottom we have to do with the top. So we start with, oops, start with our brush going the right way. And let's control tap, watching our direction. Notice I'm turning it the whole entire way. Ah, good excuse to take those off. I do not want my witch sullied with drops of teal. But I do not want a snowy sky either. I think snowy skies when we spatter is like just terrible. I think that is not a good thing. I think a lot of people don't like spatters because they go everywhere. Just keep flipping it around. Make sure you do not do this near your table mate's project because they will be very unhappy with you. Okay, into black. Okay, there goes my moon. Don't want my moon sullied with black. How terrible. A little bit of spit takes care of it, right? I got this giant chunk on there. I'll take that off in a minute. So we just wipe and twist, and I think I need a shovel. That one was big. Okay, now I can use the back end of my Q-tip. And maybe I'll actually go one step further and erase, because that is a little grimy looking, that little mistake. Okay, so I've got my stardust and I've got all that kind of stuff going on. Now it's time to make yellow. Now I've already got my yellow stars on here. I don't know that I have enough yet. So now what I want to do with this one, what I want to do is learn how to speak. All right, spatter. I want these to be very, 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 very tight little spatters. Okay, so I'm going to come down here. I want my stars to shine. Okay, so I'm going to come very tight. I'm going to put my brush, I want it to bounce off onto the next one. So I'm going to put it way down here and put it so that the spatters can toss onto those. I don't have my paint thin enough. Let's do it again. Yeah. This is where we take our Q-tip and we clean them up from amongst the black spatters. Oops. And all this chunk of stuff I just threw over there. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing. Now we'll go into our brighter yellow color. And we will, I think we'll just do that again right there. We've got you on the... Okay, and now they're fuller. Here they are plain, here they are fuller. Okay, and I think we can probably go one more by adding white in with it. It's looking a little bit more Milky Way-esque, I think. I like it better. I like, I guess, a little bit of busyness. Okay, so now I'll go down here. I don't want all that over there. Clean that up. All right, now we have to add some of those stars to the base. I wonder if we want any in our, ooh, our witch got dirty. Let's clean our witch up. I want you there. There we go. Okay, this is the same Q-tip from yesterday, so this thing lasts and lasts. And then you can even dry them and use them again. Okay, so now I'm going to put these brushes down. We're going to back up. Backing up. And we're looking for balance now. So I'm going to bring this puppy over here. Lay that down. Okay, go a little further out. Alright, so I've got my stars and I've got my dusty stuff going along. I know I'm going to want to star at the edge. I know I'm going to want to star at the edge. So I'm going to sprinkle stars throughout this area, and then we'll spatter them with the yellow. I don't want to get too busy with stars because then that'll take away from the yellow of the witch stuff, but I think a little bit we can do. So I'll find my good collection of stars. I think this one has the Ink Bats. It has a really neat, because it has this little cluster. It actually has a little border of stars. And I think I'll flip it over and come this direction and land that one right on there, right where I would want it normally. Okay, I'm using the golden straw. Okay, and then we'll see about just a little bit of cad yellow. Okay, there's that. And then maybe, as soon as that dries, let's see if I can use it someplace else. Nope. So I'll have to wait till it dries. But I'm thinking we want a few more. Maybe we want this one over here. I'm going to use this, and I'll use this way. And I'll put this right on the edge. Now I've gone ahead and traced these stars for you guys. They're on the stencils, but because they're my line of, or our line of stencils, I don't want to make this be like, yeah, you gotta buy kind of thing. Otherwise you can't do the project. So, and frankly, this project would be non-existent. So I've gone ahead and traced them, but I know that once you see them in action that you're gonna want them. I think this little froggy on top is going to get obliterated. He's going to become a star. Bye-bye, froggy. Or toady. And this, somewhere we have a going in circle cluster of little stars. Aha! This little guy right here. And so this is on the Witch's Brew. Just stencil it all, get good coverage. And I'm wondering if we want this wand. Maybe we do. Okay, and I know we're not going to want that to be. We'll mix our yellow with our black for the handle. Okay, we probably have to fix a little bit of that. Okay, so now we have stars. We'll go in with our spattering again. And that whole area can be. Now through here, we have a little bit more leeway. Back it down from there. Because this is that star dust. Okay, I got a little bit carried away out here, so I'll go out and get rid of some of those spatters. Really want it trailing down and through. All right, now what we're going to do is take our liner brush, and on the ones that are the important ones that we really want to stand out, we're going to go through and we're going to make them be a little bit bigger with stardust, kind of. Let's get in close. Show this one up here. And we're going to do a couple of these. So we're just going to take this out, and then we're going to go into, if I had any white left, we'd go into white. And just add some sparkles. And then we can add cad yellow and white dots down our sparkle thingy, our sparkle trail. Just chunky dots. Almost spider webby, huh? Okay, so now we made a shining star sparkle, like it landed there. Okay, we'll do a little one over here. See how important it is to have that contrast be there, because if you didn't have any of this contrast, I'm about to go into my palette, get something else besides the color you think you're working in. Like if you're working in a dark gold, then we need to beef up the contrast or it's not going to show. Okay, now we'll go down to the bottom and beef that one up. Okay, get some sparkles. And then this little guy right here is, I think this is just going to pour off and then sparkle around to him. And so I'll go amongst adding some little doodads. And we'll make sure we go down here and we'll add some little doodads to these guys. And I think we might almost, oh, we got to add some gold dust, sparkle dust stuff to our witches stars. So same kind of thing, pick a couple of ones that have power. And make them be important. And maybe some of these little ones can be important too, right? You don't have to be a mama star to be important. And what we're doing as well is we're leading the eye. So don't go leading the eye into a closet, right? If the center of interest isn't, you know, this star way the heck over here is not the center of interest. This witch is the center of interest and our eye is carrying through. So we don't want to lead the eye someplace that we don't want it to stay for a while. Okay, now we have a little bit of that stardust. And now I have two things I want to do now. I think these are totally options that you don't have to do or you do have to do. This has become like a multitude of crafting. I am enjoying it immensely. I don't see anything wrong with doing something that has a bunch of parts to it. Before we get ready to glitter, go ahead and apply a couple coats of varnish to your piece, however much you want it to be, and because we're going to put glitter on top and the varnish will not be good for the glitter. Make sure you're thoroughly dried because you don't want to make a big jumbo mumbo mess. And if you want to skip the glitter stage, of course you can. I would not use a satin, I would use a matte varnish because I think that the satin will take away from the glittering we're going to do. Okay, they've started carrying, we've just started carrying glitter. We used a lot of glitter in our lace ornaments, and this collection has this dark blue all the way into, I guess it goes like that. And it has this range of these teals and these blues, and they're exactly in the palette that we're doing. And so I'm going to take these two, and I've got, Decorative has a new bead and glitter glue, and I am going to just squirt some of that along my letter. I think since it's a Halloween project, I say we make it awesome. When can you use glitter on a daily basis? Not very often, so I'm going for it. Okay, so I'm going to just put it along the whole letter. I'm going to stay in the lines. I'm using the Patty's Favorite dry brush just because it's a nice, good brush that you can kind of be rough with and it'll recover. Okay, now everything else has got to be dry or this is not going to work. Okay, so, and we've got to work quickly. So we're going to take our, it's got a little shaker on top, isn't that cute? We're going to take our light glitter at the top. This glue dries clear. And then we're going to take our dark glitter. Is this the right one? No, I think this is the right one. It's just a little bit more aqua color to it. And put that at the bottom and kind of marry the two together. Now you use a piece of paper. I'm going to kind of go into this and just press it into the glitter, just for good adhesion. And you be prepared to wear it, right? You take a piece of paper that you fold in half first. And when you get ready to dump it, you dump it onto the piece of paper. Now this will make a new color. I guess you could do it separately. Flick it on your paper towel. And Bob's your uncle. You have got a glittery, I don't know if you can see it or not, a glittery toad instead of just a plain toad. And I think that that's going to be fantastic. So then the other thing I'm going to do is up at the top, I'm going to do the same thing to my wedge. And I'm going to use black glitter. It's going to take me a little bit longer, and I'm going to work in sections because she's kind of big. So I'll catch up back to you as soon as I get her all done. All right, I'd like to say, who's the crazy painter? I can lay my stencil on this, and I can stipple on my glue. Silly, silly me. Okay, so these cosmetic wedges are available at like Walmart and everywhere else. We don't sell them because they're just everywhere. I will line that poor witch up one more time. She has been done to death. I will put some glue on my palette. I will stipple into it. Make sure it's heavy enough so that it's going to catch that the glitter. And you've got something that needs to stick into this, so make sure that you're getting enough on there. Okay, and then working quickly, we'll remove this. Now this one will have to be definitely washed. So I'll put that over there. I didn't do my bridges, but I didn't want to stop to do them before that glue dried, so I'll do them after. And you can reuse your glitter as long as you're not mixing colors. So really, you could reuse. You could do all your top glitters and then dump it back in the bottom area. Okay, so this is for my black. Dust it off with the paper towel. Aha, look how cool that is. paper towel, not a paper towel, a soft brush. Brush towards the glitter. You could wait till it dries too, so that you don't end up gluing stuff down where you don't want it. All right, I like that. Now we could also add, we could also add little smears of glitter going down and around. And I would soften this with my finger. Just finger painting with the glitter. And then use that leftover stuff, that's the mix. Hello. Okay, tap that off. Okay, and now we've got, whoops, we got glue falling, I've got a glittery finger. All right. I'm gonna rub some of that off. Here's my cute tip. I want breaks in it, so I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna just break it up just a little bit. So it's a little bit more natural. Yeah, I like that better. And then we'll add just a little bit to this other side. Maybe we'll just do a couple dots. I think I actually will apply it with the Q-tip. A little bit less chunky than my finger, I think. And in this case, this is darker over here, so I think I'll do the darker glitter. And tap that off.